It has been a while since we have done a YouTube video because we have been busy prepping for baby number 2 and building Battleborn's van, which we thought it was only fitting to do a video about electrical.
Sarah says prepping, but what she means is nesting. She's been in full-blown nesting mode for like the last 3 weeks, which we are going to show you in an upcoming YouTube video, some of the remodel work we have been doing on our house, along with all the work that we've been doing on the Battleborn van. And she's right, today we're going to be talking about electrical, because that is one of the biggest questions we get in our van layout guide community, is about electrical systems, what sort of batteries we use, how to size your battery bank, all that fun stuff. So we're going to share with you our top tips for getting your electrical system dialed in your DIY conversion.
And quickly, we wanted to say thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So there really is not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to an electrical system in a van, and we always recommend consulting a professional if this is your first time building your own camper van. Electrical is just really not something you want to mess with. It can be really dangerous. You could light something on fire, like you just don't know, so definitely consult a professional in your area. Or you can join our van layout guide community. We actually have a professional in there that you can book a consult call with to go over your specific needs, because everything depends on what you want to power, what you want to do with your van. There's just so many factors and variables. So today we're going to cover a lot of the components and materials we use, and of course talk about Battleborn batteries because we love them. And we are building out their van, which is really exciting.
Super exciting. Oh, let's talk, I know what we should start with, sizing your battery bank. This is a big question a lot of people ask. We do not have a little spreadsheet put together where you can plug in all your components and the voltage or the amps and figure out all the amp hours and how to size your battery bank. It's pretty simple. You're probably going to need somewhere between 300 to 500 amp hours, depending on what you're going to be putting into your van. You can go with a really simple electrical system if all you're running is like your fridge and your basic lights. But if you do have a fresh air or an AC unit or a hot water heater, that's where you're going to need to bulk up your electrical system. So it really just depends on how many components, especially how many 110 components you're going to be putting into your van. And when it comes to the 110, 120, which are like your household outlets, what's going to be the biggest draw? And for most people, that's either going to be like a hot water heater, a water heater. A lot of haters out there when I say hot water heater.
We've always called it hot water heater. That's what my dad, a custom home builder, always called it. Some people get really mad about the water heater versus hot water heater.
So if I have offended you by calling it a hot water heater.
It has hot water, but then it heats water, so people think saying hot is like redundant.
Yeah, I hate redundancy. Or a lot of people also want to put in like a toaster oven or something like that. And typically the majority of those draw about 1600 watts fully cranked up, or like an induction cooktop. And
I feel like this may be over.
You're going to need a 3000 watt inverter. I just go.
Okay.
Like a
now backtrack here for a second. If you're like, what is he saying? This is like a foreign language right now. Our first van, when we sat down to figure out electrical, we were like, what does 12 volt mean?
Okay, no, I knew what 12 volt meant.
I didn't.
Come on.
So now. I'm just saying, if you feel overwhelmed, it is
Should
very
we start
overwhelming.
there, 12 volt versus?
Yeah, what's 12 volt versus 110? That was like a huge thing for me. You don't ever think about 12 volt versus 110, 120 electricity, because in a standard house, everything just has an outlet and you plug into it, right? So you don't think about 12 volt is low voltage and is typically what is put into RVs, boats, all of that stuff that can run directly off of your battery bank. So it does not have to go through an inverter to then convert to 110 power.
That was pretty good. She actually just kind of nailed it. Yeah.
As soon as you start to wrap your head around that the difference between the two, and you want to put as many 12 volt components as possible into your van, because again, they're going to save power and energy for you. They're not going to have as big of a draw on your battery bank. So if you have a smaller, say 300 amp hour battery bank, you're going to be able to power quite a bit with 12 volt stuff.
100%. This is why when it comes to your lights and your fridge, that's a big one that a lot of people will do, is they'll put a 110 volt fridge because they're cheap into a camper van. That's not what they're designed for. Your inverter then has to be on all the time to invert that 12 volt into 110 volts in order to run that fridge. So that's just not something that we recommend. So you want to have as many of your components be 12 volt as possible, and then only rely on the 110 or 120 volt when you have to, which again, those are like the household outlets.
Yeah, so charging your camera, your laptop, again, the water heater, those kinds of things that plug into a standard outlet.
Yeah, but you can also find now they make 12 volt USB outlets that you can get for your camper van, so that things like your cell phone, even your cameras, anything that you can just charge with a USB cable, you can actually charge all of that stuff without having to turn your inverter on. So if like when we were on the road, our laptops, our phones, even our camera gear, unless we were like charging the battery charger into the household outlet, all of that stuff we were able to charge or run without turning our inverter on. 12 volt fans, they make a lot of little 12 volt fans that plug in with either a 12 volt socket or a USB, which that technology's kind of changed, because 5 years ago, really the only 12 volt stuff you could find was like the little round cigarette lighter socket. But now there's a lot of 12 volt things that are also USB. So those are really handy. We
will also kind of go over all of this information in a blog post down below. So if that was like a lot of information thrown at you, 12 volt versus 110, inverters, battery banks, all this stuff, it is linked down below in a blog post to give you like the general overview and how to really understand this stuff. And again, it might take some time to wrap your head around it. We've been doing this for like 3 years now, so we just, you know, casually talk about this stuff like it's normal, but if you're just starting out, it is overwhelming.
Yeah. Around the shop, Sarah wanted me to show you some of the materials that we use on all of our vans. First off, Battleborn batteries. This is their 100 amp hour Life Pro battery. Sean and Dennis are going to talk more about why lithium kicks booty. This is the solar controller that we have actually put into more vans than any other. It's the Renogy 40 amp MPPT solar controller. I'm thinking about switching to Victron down the road, but this is a really nice option, especially because it has an LCD display screen on it, so you can actually see like how many amp hours you've taken in just by looking at the solar controller. You don't have to look at your phone or hook up a Bluetooth module or anything like that. And this is wiring. So let's talk about marine grade wiring. This is really pliable and really easy to run in a van. This is one of the reasons that we really love this stuff. It also has a protective sheath, and then it has, this is a 2-strand 16-2, and it has protective sheathing and color sheathing over both wires inside of the white sheath as well. Then we have, this is 2-aught battery cable, so it's black, so this would be for our negative. And this is our terminal crimp that we use to crimp all of our own battery cables as well. That is an option, or you can buy them in pre-made lengths that are already have the terminal connectors on there. If you're a DIYer making a small electrical system, that might be the option you want to go. This is a very convenient 500 amp fuse. We put this in between our battery bank and our inverter. The thing that you'll notice about this is how heavy duty the mount is. Some of the smaller ANL fuse mounts, they're not rated for like 500 amps, so you can actually melt those down. So it's really important to get something like this from Spartan Power. And again, we'll link all of this stuff in the blog post below. Getting down to the smaller items, this is a 12 volt fuse block. So this is, we're running power from the battery bank to this fuse block and then connecting all of our wires to here and then running to things like our lights or our water pump. So then you can actually replace fuses in here. This one is a 12 position with a negative and a cover. So the positive and the negative both connect to this fuse block, and it has a cover, which is really nice. This 50 amp breaker, 12 volt breaker, this is really convenient. We put this between our solar panels and our solar controller. These bus bars are really nice. So if you are doing a bigger electrical system and you have multiple connections that you need to make that are not actually going to be on the battery terminals, these bus bars are really nice to make those connections and then run a bigger strand wire to the battery or to like your shunt, for example, off the negative. That might not make any sense to you, and if it doesn't, you should definitely consult an electrical professional. This is just a really cool 12 volt fuse that I found. I've used this for like water pump switches and stuff. It has like a nice cover around it. Sometimes it can be hard to find like just a single 12 volt switch that actually looks good. And I mentioned, but she might not put the clip in, that they do make 12 volt charging stations now for things that are charged with a USB. So this has 4 USB outlets and it's a 12 volt charging station. So you can charge things like your phone, your laptops, anything that plugs in with the USB, and your inverter doesn't have to be turned on, which is really convenient. Lights, Lots of different 12-volt light options out there, all different colors and finishes. I'm like starting a collection in one of my drawers back there. And when it comes to the lights, this is the preferred switch that we use. You cannot find this on Amazon. It's actually on a website called Super Bright LEDs. They make the ones that are more like the touch, and then you adjust them by touching them. Haven't heard great things about those. We like this one because it actually looks more like a household light switch. Turn it on or off here and it is dimmable, so you work the dimmer by sliding up or down, and you can put this in a 2-gang outlet box with like an outlet, for example, which is what we typically do because it's the same size, so it works really well for that. So this is the Battleborn van behind me. Had the Battleborn crew up to our shop about a month ago, and Sean and Dennis from Battleborn were nice enough to talk with us and share with you the difference between AGM lead acid and lithium batteries. So here we go. So we are here with Dennis and Sean from Battleborn Batteries. First thing I have to say, really digging this Carhartt branded Battleborn shirt he's got going on here. I have one of these, gonna be getting one of these. We're gonna make that happen. Moving on to the point of this video, I got a thing with Carhartt, don't worry about it. Point of this video is we're going to talk about lithium batteries and why they kick butt. We have partnered with Battleborn 2.5 years ago. I called Battleborn straight off the website and ended up talking to Sean, who agreed to work with us. And it's been an amazing relationship since then. We have put Battleborn in every single van that we have built. Their van is going to be number 13, lucky number 13. And while they are here, instead of me talking about the benefits of lithium batteries, I figured we'd get it straight from the experts. So in our Van Layout Guide community, we have people ask all the time, what are the best batteries for a van conversion? We always recommend Battleborn and lithium, but there's a lot of people that are on a budget that feel like I can't afford it. What would you say to those people that think they can't afford lithium batteries for their van conversion?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that stop thinking about your batteries like it's an expendable, like you're going to pay for them now and a couple years later you're going to replace them, and then a couple years later again you'll replace them. Think of it as an investment. It's the power center of your whole van. It's
so true.
It's very important that you go with the best because ultimately you want a quality lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
It definitely adds value to the lifestyle that you live on the road. When you're out there, you don't want to have what we call battery anxiety. So
I felt that. I've been there in our first van.
So you can get lead acid batteries for cheaper, but I mean, lead acid batteries perform terribly under any conditions, not just cold temperatures, at room temperature. They do not deliver 50% of the power that they advertise. They are not a great power source to run appliances. And you will be sitting outside your van while your kids are in there watching a movie, wondering if the batteries are going to die while you're trying to relax. If you put lithium in, they can watch 3 movies in a row, and you can still make coffee in the morning.
And maybe take a hot shower before you go to bed.
Take a hot shower before you go to bed.
Who doesn't like that? So when we bought our first van and built out our first van, we put AGM in, and the biggest thing I noticed when those things showed up, the UPS guy was cursing me because there were 3 of them, like 150 pounds a piece. For people that don't understand the difference in size and weight from lithium versus other battery sources, what is the difference there?
They're 1/5 the weight. So 150 pounds of your lead acid battery corresponds to 30 pounds of lithium iron phosphate. So the weight advantage is huge.
Yeah, big difference.
And the UPS guys do hate lead acid batteries. As a matter of fact, I used to work at a job where we used to ship lead acid batteries, and our driver would ask us on the days when we were shipping a lot of them, he would like take a sick day because he was so tired lifting them up. It's a true story.
Yeah, our UPS guy likes you. I mean, we buy in pallets now though, so it's easy. So we've talk about the life cycle of these batteries, because that is something most people don't factor in when they think about. They're like, okay, this one's $250, this one's $950.
But you hit the nail on the head right there, because when you think about it as an investment over the lifetime of the battery, it's way cheaper. I mean, that's the thing. If you actually want to save money, spend now in a lithium bank, and over time it's going to pay for itself. And in terms of life cycle, we're talking 3,000 to 5,000 complete cycles. That's like 8 to 10 times longer than the AGM equivalent, and so that's a very big part of it.
That's the difference.
And after that range of 3,000 to 5,000 cycles, you have 75 to 80% of your battery power left at that point, and you get
So you still like have more battery than what an AGM battery starts with.
Thousands more cycles.
Yeah.
And also, you get 2 to 3 times the amount of deliverable power in the same amount of space. So you're going to pump in some lead acid batteries, you're going to put them in there, you're just wasting space. And in a van, especially, space, I mean, last time I checked, pretty much it's not a commodity,
It's
right?
a game of inches.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So you don't have a lot of extra room in the van. So if you're going to use up some space for some battery power, why not put in lithium, battle-born lithium? But the one thing I want to tell you and Sarah is thank you so much for partnering with us. We really appreciate the value that you bring to our brand, and the way you support your customers goes right along with the way we treat our customers, and we appreciate the partnership.
Appreciate that. The customer service from these guys, I have multiple experiences I could give you, second to none. It's another reason why, if it's ever a question of a few bucks here, a few bucks there, listen, in everything that we do, it is all about the brands and the relationships that we've built. This is one of our favorite relationships, and it's an incredible brand, an incredible company that is growing, that is US based. They just told us, what, you guys are hiring like 25 more people in Reno right now?
We are trying to hire 25 people right now.
So you watch the news, there's not a lot of people out there that are saying that they're hiring 25 people in their local, markets, contribute to local economy, which is another thing we are a big fan of. For all you RVers and van lifers that are out there traveling, remember to contribute to your local economy, give back, just like these guys are. If you want to get more information about battle-born batteries, you can definitely go to their website. You can also buy our van layout guide, which is linked down below, which they are featured all throughout, because like I said, we have used them in all of our builds, and lucky number 13, which is theirs, which we just picked out all of the design choices today. Sarah, she walked you guys through. How do you feel? Are you excited to have a battle-born van?
Oh my God, I'm so excited about it.
It's something we've been talking about for a long time, and then when we were having that conversation and you said you had a van, I was like, let's build a battle-born van. I mean, I'm really excited. I cannot wait to pick this thing up and take it out on a mountain biking trip.
Yeah, I might keep it for like a month or something to try it out, just really break it in before we deliver it. So it is a trade show van. It's going to be a totally different layout than what we have done in our other vans before. So if maybe you have a business, you're thinking about taking mobile, this is going to be a really cool one for you to check out. We're hoping to have this thing done by the end of October, if not the beginning of October, before baby number dos drops in. And then Sarah and I are taking a little bit of break, maybe heading down to Reno, come visit these guys.
Come on down, we'd love to have you.
Yes, and then I'm going to pick up my Carhartt shirt while I'm down there. I already have the t-shirt, the golf shirt, now I need the Carhartt shirt.
I got a funny feeling the FedEx guy's going to drop that off.
Probably.
I don't know if he likes you or not, but the
UPS guy likes me more, the FedEx guy.
We're going to need something for the baby too.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got some battle-born baby gear also.
Some swag, some baby swag. All right, so hope that you guys found this video informative. If you have other questions about lithium batteries, battery banks, that sort of stuff, drop them in the comments down below, and we will do our best to answer those questions for you. Great to meet you guys after 2.5 years.
It's awesome.
And we can't wait to show you guys this van when it's finished.
Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, and you guys already know how much we love them. And we actually recently switched over our van layout guide to the Squarespace platform and revamped the entire thing. And it is so much more functional and easy to use now. We actually use Squarespace's 7.1 editor they actually recently launched, that I think is even more intuitive and simple to use than their old 7.1 editor. It's really easy to customize the colors and set up color schemes right away to, again, make everything look branded and professional on your website. So if you want to build your own website on Squarespace and have that professional forward-facing brand for yourself online, head to squarespace.com for a free 2-week trial. And when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/40 hours for 10% off your purchase of a website or domain. And really quick, speaking about the van layout guide, that is kind of why we haven't been on YouTube for a while. We revamped the entire thing, switched it all over to Squarespace, and people are absolutely loving it. You can download all the floor plans and specs. You can even now download the SketchUp files for each one of the floor plans we have. And we simplified the plumbing and electrical pages to show you exactly what our standard layout is in these van conversions that we do, and all the things that we recommend doing. And the best part of the van layout guide is the Facebook group, which is just blown my mind lately.
There's a lot of people building vans out there.
There's like almost 800 people in it now, and it's just, yeah, so many people building vans, sharing, asking questions, everybody connecting in there. So if you want to join in on the fun, there is a link down below for the van layout guide. We hope to see you there. It's where we spend a lot of our free time. We try our best to create content But we're gearing up to finish this van, get ready for baby number 2. And so our free time has kind of been spent engaging with that group.
I'll be honest, I don't get on social media. Like, I don't really get on Instagram. I haven't responded to a direct message on Instagram in I don't know how long, because we really like the people in the Van Layout Guide community.
Yeah, we prioritize that. They
really are there. They're doing builds. They have great questions, and we want to get back to them in a really timely manner. And it's a lot of fun to see these people who are really actively planning builds or working on a build and be able to give them feedback and help out the DIYers that are out there, because we've got a soft spot in our heart for the DIY van builders, because that's where we started. So, so again, top 3 tips real quick for electrical in your van. Draw everything out. And in the Van Layout Guide, that's really what we did in the electrical section, is I just created a flow chart showing you guys how an electrical system operates. Number 2, figure out what your biggest power draws are going to be, and whether those are 12 volt or 110. Calculate how many amp hours you're going to need for your battery bank. And then I guess these are my top 4 tips. Consult a professional so that you make sure that your wire sizes are correct, that all of your fusing is correct, and that you have everything dialed in for your electrical system. Really important to consult an electrical engineer or an electrician, or somebody that knows more than you do about electrical in a van.
Especially find somebody that is, comfortable with solar and 12 volt and batteries and all that, because it is obviously different than, an electrician that just works on houses.
Yeah.
So we do have a professional we recommend in the Van Layout Guide that you can consult with when you join the Van Layout Guide. And so that will be all linked down below. That is it for this week's video. We are going to share some home stuff coming up, because I have been crazy nesting and we have just finally bit the bullet on some of our home projects that we wanted to do. And so we're going to share that with you guys soon. There were 3 rooms in our house that we wanted to renovate. Our 2 bathrooms and our laundry room, they were just horrible. So.
The 3 worst rooms for sure.
Yeah. That's it for this week. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.